to our broadcast. Okay, we are live and streaming our
This
meeting.
conference will now be recorded.
We are now recording for future purposes. So I would like to call to order the first meeting of the last month of December 2020, December 1st, 2020. And we will start off with our roll call, please. Phyllis Bulman.
Counselor Beltz.
Here.
Counselor Carey.
Here.
Counselor Lopez.
Here.
Counselor Sharmer.
Here.
Counselor Schinkel.
Here.
Counselor Silbernagel.
Here.
Mayor Kuntz.
I am here. And we will do our flag salute, and Counselor Sharmer, as one of your last official acts, if you would please lead us. We'll have everyone else mute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you for sharing the visual with us as well. So, Zach, where's the council chambers? Are we on?
Well, I'm on top right.
Okay. So we will start our business this evening with our consent calendar. And this evening we have one item, the minutes of the council meeting of November 17th. If there are any corrections or additions, otherwise I will entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Silbernagel, for the motion and Councillor Beltz for the second. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Great. Well, this evening we have a couple of special presentations to do before our usual reports. And I am extremely honored to get to do the first order of business here, which is the presentation of Years of Service Awards. And this is one thing I would miss very much, miss this opportunity to do this in person, to be able to greet and shake hands of these tremendous people who really give a large chunk of their time and energy to serving us as employees of the City of Monmouth. And tonight we have 16 of them. And I am going to read a little bit about each one. I want to make sure, I'm going to kind of just take a second here and see if the people are on as I come up, because I know some of them are joining us tonight. And I am happy to be able to share these great words with you about their service. And we're going to start off tonight with the staff, 2 staff members, 3 who have actually been with the city for 25 years. I'd like to start with Russ Cooper. Russ started his career with the City of Monmouth as a seasonal summer employee while attending college at Western Oregon University. Probably wasn't called that then, though. No. through hard work and as a commitment to mastering the various trades and components of public works. Russ has worked his way through the ranks to serve as our Public Works Director. Examples of Russ's industry leadership include 17 years as a board member for the Oregon Association of Water Utilities. During this time, he held each of the executives, including 2 terms as president. If asked, Russ identifies his efforts ensuring excellent industry training and strong legislative advocacy as most rewarding. Russ also serves the industry at the national level, where he has represented Oregon on the National Rural Water Association's Board of Directors for 12 years. His work at the national level has helped to ensure that small to medium-sized water and wastewater utilities have strong legislative and regulatory representation in Washington, D.C. A couple of accolades from the past 25 years that Russ is most proud of include being named the Oregon Association of Water Manager of the Year in 2005 after being nominated by his own staff. And in 2015, when he was awarded the Chamber of Commerce Distinguished Service Award for Monmouth Independence. In 2017, Russ received the Friend of Rural Water Award for his volunteer work as an advocate for small water and wastewater utilities across the nation. Russ always has the city of Monmouth's best interest at heart and is committed to preserving a high quality of life in Monmouth. He is extremely supportive of his employees, and he is dedicated to creating a positive work experience for them. He has a great sense of humor that helps his coworkers navigate the toughest of times and challenges. His experience, management skills, and positive attitude have served our city well. Thank you, Russ, for 25 years of service.
Thank you, Mayor Coons.
We have another 25-year employee, and I don't think that he is with us tonight. And that is Howard Feltman. And if any of you have been to the Monmouth Library, you've met Howard. Howard's library adventure began while he was a student at WU, might be a theme here, and he did some volunteer work at the library. Fast forward a few years, he went back to school to receive his Master's of Library Science degree. Howard joined the staff in 1995 and has been making a positive impact on our library ever since. Howard helps patrons find information. He troubleshoots computer issues, and he is our in-house technical help, answering questions, installing software, troubleshooting cranky computers, etc. He also takes care of the monthly and weekly work schedules, compiles, submits, and library materials orders. He manages and completes state library support, among other things. Howard has used projects for enclosure, including the large shelves, and added a second result that very popular. He created the information and shifted books in the adult allow for the creation of display space in the stack. Can't wait to get back in and see those improvements. Howard is a quiet, calm, and reassuring presence in the library. And we are all better for his, which made him an easy choice to promote to Public Works Foreman in 2004. Shortly after this promotion, the Oregon Association of Water Utilities also recognized Mark as Oregon's Wastewater Operator of the Year. 12 years later, in the midst of a department reorganization, Mark's personality, wide-ranging skill set, and commitment to the residents of Monmouth landed him the position of Operations Manager over the street, sewer, and stormwater departments. And that's where he continues to serve the city today. As an industry leader in Oregon, Mark has served 17 years as a regional director for the Pacific Northwest Clean Water Association. His work with PNCWA has ensured that wastewater operators have had access to high-quality industry training. He works with the PNCWA and also involves him representing wastewater utilities at the Oregon legislature when they are considering new bills and regulations that affect this. The attributes Mark possesses are those that have kept him advancing in his career field. His broad experience, industry leadership, excellent customer relations, and friendly demeanor are a few of the qualities that have made him a tremendous to the city of Monmouth. Mark, we are hoping for many more years of service. 20. Congratulations on this award. Yay, Mark. And now we move on to folks who have been here for 20 years. And we'll start with another Public Works member. Who does not seem to be with us here tonight. So I will take this moment to recognize Terry Gibson. Terry arrived with the city of Monmouth at August 28th in 2000. He spent 18 years with Pepsi prior to coming to work for the city. But Terry is a born and raised Monmouth boy. And most people will recognize Terry as the sweeper guy, the one who's out there operating our street sweeper. Terry is cross-trained in all aspects of public works and holds a state of Oregon level 1 certification in wastewater collection. Terry loves Monmouth and always gives the residents of Monmouth 100%. He's married to his wife, June, and he has a son, Travis, who is starting off the next generation of public works members of their family over at the City of Independence. I'd like to thank Terry for all of his hard work and years of service. Yay. A couple more folks with 20 years of service. And we will start with Detective Mike Hamilton. Detective Hamilton began working for the Monmouth Police Department on July 1st, 2000. Prior to that, he worked 1 year for the Portland Police Bureau and as a part-time officer with Independence. Mike graduated from Western Oregon University in 1998 after earning a bachelor's degree in law enforcement. During his 20 years of service, he has worked as a patrol officer, as a person and property crimes detective, and is now serving his second tour as an investigator on the Polk County Interagency Narcotics Team. Mike is a dedicated and valuable employee. He is a very caring person and always has and is always very professional during his contacts with community members. Over the last 20 years, Mike has received quite a number of cards and letters from community members he has helped, thanking him for his genuine concern, compassion, and the assistance he provided. In 2008, Officer Hamilton received one of Monmouth Police Department's Officer of the Year awards, primarily due to an in-depth and successful burglary and sexual assault investigation that resulted in a conviction in Polk County Circuit Court. His persistence was key in solving this case. The city of Monmouth and its residents are very fortunate to have Mike serving in the police department, and we look forward to more years of service and having him serve this community proudly. Thank you, Detective Mike Hamilton, for your 20 years of service. See him, you know. Ms. Vicky Music. On July 1st, 2000, Vicky Music arrived at the city of Monmouth, and things have never been the same since. I will add, to become an accounting clerk in the finance department. Coming from US Bank, Vicky brought great cash handling skills and wonderful client service abilities, which have stood her and the city in great stead ever since. Her primary focus is to provide assistance to all of our community members who phone, email, or come to the counter at City Hall each year. Vicky also processes at least half of the thousands of payments received by mail and through the drop box each month. She handles the electric utility service orders and even dog licenses. There are some customers who show up at the counter and only want to deal with Vicky because of her iconic knowledge of both her job and of them. As longtime residents of Monmouth, Vicky and her husband, Mark, who recently retired after 30 years at Les Schwab, are very committed to our community. Vicky and Mark have 3 sons and 6 wonderful granddaughters, ranging in age from 3 months to 11 years old. Vicky is a compassionate, dedicated, hardworking individual with a booming, infectious laugh. Her coworkers really appreciate her conscientious work ethic that she brings to the job each day. And Monmouth residents have benefited greatly from Vicky's 20 years of service with the city. Thanks, Vicky. Oh, and now with 15 years of service, even though we all think she's been around forever, I would like to recognize our own city recorder, Phyllis Bulman. Phyllis's first work experience with the city was while she was a student at Oregon College of Education, and it really was called that then. She started out at the Monmouth Public Library. Upon graduation from OCE, she worked 18 months for the police department as a dispatcher. And then after several years of working in the private sector, including owning and operating her own small business in Monmouth, Phyllis returned to the city as the planning secretary in early 2006. Within a couple of months, she took over the responsibilities of the city recorder position and was formally appointed later that year. Over the past 15 years, Phyllis has effectively performed the ongoing duties of her position while bringing order to the many, many files and documents the city is required to keep. She has worked with and mentored an army of interns to complete the archiving of all the old ordinances, resolutions, and minutes to make them easily accessible online. Many a coworker has been astounded at how fast Phyllis can find an old ordinance or city document. Phyllis is an active member of the Oregon Association of Municipal Recorders, serving as the chair of the membership committee, and she also serves on 2 additional committees. I knew about some of Phyllis's leadership skills and training from my time working with her in the Ford Institute Leadership Program, but I did not know this. Phyllis has a love for reading and commitment to lifelong learning. Recently, she received the prestigious Athenian Fellow. This is an educational challenge that is awarded after participating in 10 Athenian leadership dialogues. It is clear to anyone who works with Phyllis that she has been able to apply and teach others about the principles of the Athenian Fellow leadership practices while serving in her public leadership role as city recorder. Phyllis is part of a special class of Monmouth residents who moved to Monmouth to go to school and never leave. Phyllis is an active part of the community and knows just about everyone. She makes beautiful birthday cards, which she gives to coworkers, friends, and donates to the Thoughts and Gifts Project. She also makes the most amazing shortbread Christmas cookies. Coming up, folks. The city of Monmouth has been well served by Phyllis's work as a recorder over the last 15 years and her ongoing commitment and dedication to the city. So thank you, Phyllis. We have another 15-year employee, and this is Bill Genest. Bill hired into Monmouth Power and Light on my sister's birthday, April 18th, 2005. Not the year, but Bill started power line work as a groundsman in Arizona. He worked for many contractors over the years and then worked 10 plus years with Consumer Power based out of Philomath. But his 15 years with Monmouth Power and Light, Bill has worked primarily as a lineman. He enjoys the outdoors, especially fishing and crabbing. In his family life, he is married to wife Sandy, and they have 3 children. Bill's oldest daughter, Echo, provided him with his first grandchild, Bryden. His son, Donovan, recently celebrated getting married, as well as graduating medical school and a medical residency. And daughter, Talina, manages a Portland restaurant. Thank you, Bill, and all of your colleagues for the hard work you do, especially this time of year. Thank you for 15 years of service, Bill. Also with 15 years, gosh, time flies, Lieutenant Isaiah Haynes. Lieutenant Haynes began working for the Monmouth Police Department in October of 2005. Prior to that, he worked with youth offenders in Marion and Yamhill counties. Isaiah graduated with a bachelor's degree from Western Oregon University in 2005 after earning a degree in social science. During his career, Isaiah has worked as a patrol officer, a patrol sergeant, and the last 3 years he has served as our second in command as lieutenant. Lieutenant Haynes has been recognized for his outstanding work several times and has earned the following awards over his past 15-year career. 2007 and 2008, he was the department's top survival skills award winner. In 2007, he also won the Monmouth Police Department Life-Saving Award and the Oregon Peace Officers Association Life-Saving Award. And in 2007, and again in 2017, Lieutenant Haynes was recognized as our Police Officer of the Year. Isaiah has taken on several additional duties over the last 15 years. He has served as a field training supervisor, range master, and firearms instructor, and as an ORPAT physical fitness instructor. Lieutenant Haynes has served on the Polk County Special Response Team as a member and as a team leader. And he also currently supervises the Point Detective. He's in charge of our evidence processing and storage as the supervisor of that area. Lieutenant Haynes is a graduate of the Oregon Executive Development Institute and also the Law Enforcement Executive Leadership Institute. He holds an executive certification from the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, which is the highest level of certification that an Oregon police officer can hold. He is a natural leader and is highly respected by the officers at MPD. Isaiah is a very compassionate and caring person and is known to purchase clothing and other essential items with his own money for those he has encountered during police calls who are less fortunate and in need. He truly leads by example. The city of Monmouth and its residents are very fortunate to have Isaiah serving as a police lieutenant. We look forward to many more years of your service and serving your community. Thank you so much, Isaiah.
Thank you, Mayor Coons.
Also, we had a few openings in the police department apparently 15 years ago, because that same time is when we got Sergeant Matt Olofsson. Sergeant Olofsson began working for the Monmouth Police Department in April of 2005. Prior to that, Matt served for 1 year as a Monmouth Reserve officer. Matt, also a graduate of Western Oregon University, holds his degree in community crime prevention. During these past 15 years, he has worked as a patrol officer, as a detective, and as an investigator with the Point team, and as a patrol sergeant. Sergeant Olofsson has been recognized for his outstanding work, also earning several awards, including Officer of the Year in 2008, 2009, and in 2016. He has received the Monmouth PD and Oregon Police Officers Association Life-Saving Awards in both 2006 and 2016. And he also received the American Red Cross Professional Rescue Heroes Award in 2006. Sergeant Olofsson has taken on additional duties that include supervising the Reserve Officer Program, serving as a department range master, firearms instructor, and tactical training coordinator. He is also an ORPAT physical fitness instructor, both at our department and at the police academy. Matt assists with IT services in the PD and serves as the department liaison with our public schools. Matt was instrumental in helping start a pilot program at our grade schools a few years ago called the Police Mentor Program. He's very committed to taking time once a week to visit Monmouth Elementary School during the lunch hour in order to connect and mentor youth in our community. Sergeant Olofsson is a dedicated, hardworking, and valuable employee. The city of Monmouth and its residents are very fortunate to have Matt serving as a police sergeant. We look forward to many more years of him proudly serving our community. We really appreciate you and thank you for your service, Matt Olofsson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So we have a few folks with 10 years of recognition. I'm going to start off with Russ Downer. Russell Downer hired into Monmouth Power and Light on January 25th, 2010. He started power line work in the construction arena in 1989 and has worked for many contractors over the years, including 9 years with Consumer Power. In his now 10 years with Monmouth Power and Light, Russ has worked as a lineman, crew foreman, and is now our serviceman. He enjoys the outdoors, especially hunting, but most recently spends a great deal of time with his young grandchildren. Mateo is 4, Roman is 2, and Karina is 4 months. Thank you for your hard work, Russ, and we appreciate your 10 years of service. We have Melissa Mcgill, and Melissa has 10 years with the city. She started working at the library on April 1st, 2010. She started as a library assistant 1 and spent most of her first 5 years working at the circulation desk, assisting patrons with checkout, preparing the monthly activity calendar, coordinating our house calls homebound program, ordering tax forms, and using her creativity to design a large bulletin board in the children's section of the library. In 2015, Melissa was promoted to library assistant 2, and then she assumed new duties, which included ordering and processing the music CDs, doing some cataloging, and still working at the checkout desk. In January of 2017, Melissa was again promoted, this time to a library assistant 3. She is now responsible for cataloging adult library materials, and she also hires, trains, and oversees our wonderful volunteers. Melissa also coordinates the library's Once Upon a Thursday book club And that book club continues to meet virtually during the closure. Melissa is a friendly face for our patrons and always willing to take on new challenges or to help out as needed. Melissa has risen up through the ranks, and she's a valued member of our amazing library team. So thank you for 10 years of service, Melissa Mcgill. Another 10-year employee, also from our police department, Detective Justin Reynolds. Justin Reynolds began working for Monmouth PD on September 13th, 2010. Justin grew up in the Monmouth Independence area and therefore was a natural fit when he made the decision to serve and protect the community in which his friends and family live. He is a Central High graduate, also holds an associate's degree from Mount Hood Community College. And after college, Justin spent 3 seasons playing minor league baseball with the Tampa Bay Rays before returning to Monmouth and beginning his career in law enforcement. Detective Reynolds is a very dedicated officer who cares deeply for the community and for those who live and work here. Many words can be used to describe Justin. Positive, eager to learn, passionate, and compassionate are just a few. Justin has a strong desire to help people and is always willing to spend extra time trying to get to the root of a problem. In addition to his patrol duties and serving as an investigator over the past 10 years, Justin has assisted with the department's physical fitness program, always setting an example for the rest of the officers to follow. Additionally, he serves as an ORPAT physical fitness instructor, a department armorer and firearms instructor, a field training officer, and a defensive tactics instructor. During this 10-year career, Justin has been recognized and received the Top Survival Skills Award in both 2012 and 14, and was also selected as the Officer of the Year in 2015. Justin and his wife Chandra live in the area with their 5 children. They graciously and bravely serve as foster parents and have really contributed a lot to our community and to the lives of children. So thank you for your dedication and service to the city of Monmouth. Justin Reynolds. And with our last 10-year employee, also a big part of our Public Works Department. David Salinas joined the Public Works team with many years of experience in the plumbing field. Time after time, that experience has been a major asset for the city. David has a mechanical mindset. He has the ability to simply look at a project and not only know how to fix the problem, but improve the entire system. The department relies on him routinely for the more intricate or complicated piping projects. David is a humble person and does not take a lot of credit that is due to him. And his supervisor, Russ Cooper, and I are glad we can take this opportunity to highlight his accomplishments and to say thank you to David Salinas for 10 years of dedicated service. We have a couple more folks who've been with us for 5 years, and I would like to take an opportunity to recognize these last 2. First, Officer Chris Lynch. Officer Lynch joined the Monmouth PD initially as a reserve officer in November of 2014, and then transitioned and served in the non-sworn position of our community service officer from June 1st, 2015 through the June of 2016. Officer Lynch was very active during the year he worked as CSO and was successful in resolving many issues involving ordinance violations throughout town. Chris always works to develop a positive rapport with those he contacts and has a knack for gaining voluntary compliance in many cases. On July of 2016, Officer Lynch was hired and began serving as a full-time sworn police officer. As a police officer, he continues to build those positive relationships with community members and is always willing to help those in need. He successfully completed his associate's degree and is now a graduate of Rowe Community College with an associate's degree in criminal justice. In September of 2018, Chris accepted a short-term detective assignment. He worked on several investigations with very successful results. He also helped out with the reserve program, serving as program coordinator while working as an investigator. Officer Lynch transitioned back to patrol in March of this year and has provided some great experience to the newer officers on the night shift crew. Congratulations, Officer Chris Lynch, on your first 5 years with MPD. We look forward to you continuing to serve the Monmouth community into the future. And back to City Hall, I'd like to recognize Melissa Neighbors. The City of Monmouth hired Melissa Neighbors on September 1st, 2015 as an account technician, where she quickly demonstrated her above average accounting and technology skills to earn a promotion less than 2 years later, with the conversion of her previous position to a much needed financial operations manager for utility and general ledger management. Melissa is responsible for all elements of the utility billing cycle, including ensuring accuracy of reads, invoices, and reporting, implementing service orders, and a myriad of other related tasks. She also manages all the bank reconciliations and the general ledger entries, as well as the intermodule transaction and reporting reconciliations for month end and year end. When our new finance director came to the city and insisted that we needed to go from closing the monthly books in 10 days or less versus the 15 to 20 days that had been the standard in the past, Melissa made it her mission to ensure that happened and was successful in very short order. Recently, she has also taken on the inventory and capital asset management, greatly relieving the finance director of these time-consuming and complex tasks. Melissa lives with her 3 teen daughters who have grown up in Monmouth, and they live in a big old house that Melissa loves to continuously renovate in her spare time. Oh, and it's hard to imagine her having much of that because she also just finished an online master's degree through OSU this past spring. So I don't know how this organization would function without Melissa. She knows her systems inside and out. She is always willing to take something more on, no matter how full her plate seems. Her conscientious, change-oriented, upbeat attitude is an incredible example to her colleagues. And we hope these first 5 years turn into many, many, many more for the city's sake. So thank you, Melissa, for joining us and for continuing to improve the city. Wow, really, that's great. It's awesome when we think about these wonderful folks who came here, many of them as students, and we've been able to keep them and their talents and really, really appreciate it. We have one more presentation, and I'm going to take a break from talking and drink some water here. Each year at this time, we celebrate No Shave November, and luckily none of you all have apparently taken that on as a challenge, but our police department does each year. And they have prepared a video for us this year of a presentation that they would like to make. So I'm going to turn this over to Zach, and we will share this video with you.
Members of the City Council, Madam Mayor, thank you for this opportunity today. Over the past 3 years, members of the Monmouth Police Department have participated in No Shave November. Now, traditionally, No Shave November is intended to raise awareness for people battling cancer. However, this year we have decided to raise money to support a family in our community who's battling and fighting a different fight. This community member was involved in a very serious car accident a couple months ago and is still fighting in the hospital. Over the last month, donations have come into the police department from staff, family, friends, as well as the Officers Association. We have been able to raise over $1,000. It is our pleasure to present a check to this family. To the family, we love you. We pray with you, and we fight with you. Come home soon, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to our department for that. Again, so tough time for that family, and I appreciate their support. So thanks, Chief Talon and your team. Mayor's report this evening. I don't have much for you, so I'm gonna move on. I will tell you, again, we've gotten a few more applications for folks who are interested in serving in some of our boards and commission openings. And at our next meeting, Marty and I will be able to kind of talk through with you a little bit about a possible process for recruitment for those openings. And also we will start to talk about changing our board liaisons for boards and commissions for the new year. So perhaps one of our last reports of activities for council representatives of boards and commissions before some of you change over. And I will, my report for arts and culture will actually come in a few moments as an action item. So I will entertain any other reports on boards and commissions. Yes, Councillor Carey.
Just to alert anyone who's interested, the Planning Commission meets tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And it's a work session primarily, and it will be focused on the Monmouth Code Assistance Grant, and the project management team will be talking about some of the areas that that they would like to assist the city with and participate. That will ultimately come to the city council for approval. I've looked at the materials, and it's an ambitious, certainly an ambitious undertaking at this point, and seemingly needing. So that's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. virtually. I'm sure the agenda and link is on the city webpage if you're interested.
Great, thank you for that. Any others? Okay, I don't see that we had any others, so we will move to our city manager's report. Marty Wine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, City Council members. I'm so glad to have heard the Year of Service Awards. I'm very appreciative and super impressed about all our staff's accomplishments and years of service. I just have a couple items for you tonight just to keep you informed about some things. First, related to transition for our police chief and the Monmouth Police Department. Back on October 5th, our police chief, Daryl Talon, announced his retirement from service effective April 30th of 2021. So the chief and I have discussed his schedule over the next few months, and also how the management of the police department will transition in early 2021. Chief Talon is planning to use his accrued paid time off beginning March 12th and going through the time of April 30th. So his last day at work in Monmouth will be on Thursday, March 11th. And I'm glad you got to hear a little bit about him tonight, because my intent is to ask Lieutenant Isaiah Haynes to serve in the interim police chief role beginning at that date in mid-March. So the intent here is to have some continuity and leadership in our police department while we take some time to have an open and competitive search for our next chief. This also will give us a chance and the time to have an open dialogue with the whole Monmouth community about their desires for the future direction of the department. So just wanted to mention those next steps in what will happen in the police department in the coming months. I want to acknowledge and honor Chief Talon's care and the commitment that he's shown to Monmouth for 23 years, 19 of them as chief of our city. He's devoted his career of 33 years to building and creating a safe community here, and we'll have a chance between now and March to create an appropriate appreciation for all that he has done for us. So just wanted to give you an update about some of the next steps to come there. Let's see, I mentioned in our last Friday notes to you, my last Friday notes to you on November 20th about a houseless person who has been living at the library. And we've had an individual staying at the library in the parking lot for the last several weeks. Mostly, I just want to provide information to you in my report tonight. The situation is quite serious and in concern for the person's health and sanitation and safety. It's not a long-term option for him to be able to camp in the library parking lot for the long term. Now, our staff in the police department and also our library director, who you'll hear from later tonight, have made extensive efforts to connect him with shelter and resources through the warming center and also other county shelter services, but his stay has continued. So I'm aware of community members who have also been offering their help, and we've, I think, had a very compassionate and generous approach, and our heart goes out to this individual, and I know that we all want to help. However, living at the library in the parking lot is not a long-term option. So today, our library director and one of our police sergeants has advised this individual that staying at the library long-term is not going to be a living option, and our efforts are going to continue to find him stable shelter. And through the end of the week, he has committed to leaving the library on Friday, and we're hopeful that that will actually occur. So we're not asking for any action from you tonight. We just want to keep you apprised of the council up to date about that situation, because we know you're probably hearing about it, and we can say more about the steps that we've taken if need be. So we want to ensure that the individual and our staff and our community's safety can all be maintained. So that's just a note about that situation. Boy, I just realized my report. I've got a couple. I'm going to make it a really more positive report next time. But my next item is about COVID and city services before and after the freeze. And I'm sorry to report that I don't have anything to report for after freeze because we're still in it. For the last 2 weeks, our doors have been closed since Wednesday, the 18th of November. And that was for the 2-week freeze that was issued by the governor. And we learned last week that that's going to continue for another couple of weeks. So from a city service standpoint, although our buildings have been closed, we're still working, and our services continue to be available by phone, email, or limited and scheduled appointments. So from December 3rd on, tomorrow, the only modification to our service in that regard will be for our DNP, or utility shutoff service. And we have a plan to modify the front counter for a window walk-up service on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So that'll allow folks to continue to pay their power bill. Most of you know that Governor Brown today announced updates to the county risk levels under the state's new public health framework. You know, there are 4 different risk levels, and Polk County remains in the extreme risk level from now through December 17th. So we'll keep tracking and examine, or the county is going to publish the data weekly, and the risk levels will be reassigned every 2 weeks. On the business side, Polk County will receive $1.25 million in additional coronavirus relief funds from the state for business assistance. So The county is going to be partnering with Willamette Workforce Partners to distribute the funds between now and December 30th. They're figuring out the process and criteria now, and they plan to open the application process on December 4th. And yes, that's Friday. So it's going to be a very ambitious schedule for distributing those funds. You may have also heard that our city had our first employee who had a confirmed positive case of COVID-19. So we, like all employers, are implementing the OSHA rule that went into effect in mid-November. We've identified contacts and notification, and we're balancing protecting personal medical information and working to keep our employees to remain healthy and avoiding exposure. My final note is about the City Hall project. Just if you see activity over the weekend, I don't want anyone to be surprised. We received proposals to do a geotechnical report for the City Hall site and also an environmental assessment for both the City Hall and volunteer areas. So I've given notice to proceed for the contractor to be on site to take soil samples and keep that process going so that we know everything we need to know about building a new City Hall. We've also consulted with our bond counsel and asked her to draft a draft resolution to refer a bond measure to Monmouth voters next May for the voter approved share of the funding for the City Hall project. That's one of the breasts of the three-legged stool that you've all been talking about to finance the project. So that resolution is prepared, and we were hoping to bring it to you at a meeting of December 15th. So even though we told you that maybe there wouldn't be a second December meeting, hopefully you'll be happy to come to a second December meeting when you can discuss the measure and what it will take to refer it to Monmouth voters and messaging. So that matter's ready for your discussion, and we're ready to bring it for your recommendation, or for us to recommend to you. And that's all I have for my report tonight. I would welcome any questions you have.
Byron?
Thanks, Marty. When can you send that to us to review prior to that meeting? How long will we have to go over that?
You're referring to the City Hall proposal?
Yeah, the bond proposal.
Sure. Our goal is to have the meeting packet produced the week prior. So my goal would be to have the meeting packet ready for you, whatever that is, the 8th of December for the meeting on the 15th. So you'd have 6 days, just short of a week to review.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions or comments for Marty?
Thank you, Council.
All right. And this is the portion of the meeting where we take public comments. Again, comments are entertained during this time. And we don't have anyone here in the room with us. And before I read my script, Phyllis, had you received any public comments from folks that are on the call tonight? You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Phyllis?
Phyllis?
Phyllis? Okay. Well, we'll come back to public comments if somebody had notified. Oh, there she is. No, she's saying no comments were received. Thank you. We don't know why you show unmuted, but okay. And I just, I believe, hopefully you each had a chance to check your email. Phyllis did email out a letter this evening, from a community member, and sort of regarding the very difficult parts of the current situation with regard to COVID-19 closures. Marty mentioned that we are currently in a state-ordered freeze. The governor of the Oregon Health Authority had restricted a lot of activity around the state. And when that freeze ends, 5 counties actually go to the least restricted status, but we are not among them. The Polk County metrics are very high. Basically, they are, if you have more than 200 cases over a 2-week period per 100, you remain in this fairly restricted status, which closes restaurants to takeout only. It also closes the gyms and fitness centers and restricts a lot of other activities because of the threat of community spread. And we are, our 2-week total that came out yesterday is not only 200, it is 431, I think it was. So Polk County contact tracers are overwhelmed. The ability to try to figure out where spread is happening is hampered. And so we will be in this situation, or Marty mentioned, at least a couple more weeks where businesses face those restrictions. And the letter we received, we understand the frustration of our community members and the supporters of these businesses. It's really difficult. After the freeze, businesses will be able to go back to outdoor dining. Not sure how viable that is for most restaurants in December, but other than that, it's fairly restrictive. And I understand the frustration. It's certainly not something that the city is happy to see. And as Marty mentioned, those businesses are going to be eligible for additional grants and loans. We know that's not enough. We hope everyone is supporting our local businesses, but it's not our jurisdiction. It's not something we get to decide. And as hard as it is to say, we know this is going to continue to be a tough month for local businesses. So seeing no other public comments, we're going to move on to our business agenda. We do just have a few items this evening on that, and then we will have a brief work session presentation tonight, and that's the rest of our meeting. And we will start off with Phyllis, if you've got your, if you can speak now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We will take the first item on our business agenda.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is the canvass of vote for the election. And as required by our charter, it has to be read into the record. So the vote was as follows: for mayor of City of Monmouth, Cecilia Kuntz, 2,301, Lisa Sherman, 1,848. Cecilia Kuntz is elected as mayor for a 2-year term. For city councilor of Monmouth, Carol McGill, 1,993 votes, Jason Bransky, 1,073, Adam Jefferson, 716, Jason Ridgway, 947, Seth Rogers, 901, John Oberst, 1,427, Rebecca Salinas Oliveros, 2,111, Darren Silbernagel, 828, Byron Schenkel, 1,188. Rebecca Salinas Oliveros, Carol McGill, and John Oberst are elected to 4-year terms as city councilors. This was an information-only report.
Thank you very much for that. And our next item I mentioned is a part of my report from the Arts and Culture Commission. And Phyllis is our staff liaison. So she can give us a little bit more background on this, but this is a very exciting project. The Arts and Culture Commission has been able to get some input on, get to meet folks involved in this project, and they are with us tonight. So This is about a mural that is being proposed for a building. This building at 265 College Street is an apartment building that is being worked on by Northwest Housing Alternatives. And tonight with us from Northwest Housing is Clayton Crowhurst, the developer, and Heidi Schultz, the artist. And in your packet was a photograph of the mural, and it's interesting. I love hearing Heidi's description of it, what this represents, and Clayton's interest in creating a piece of public art for us. So I would, Phyllis, do you have anything else for us from the staff report part?
Only that I sent out the letter of support from the Arts and Culture Commission, and they have committed to contributing to contribute $300 from the commission.
We just wanted to make sure that the city was recognized this great contribution and a small token towards a stipend for the artists. Clayton, do you want to tell us a little bit about the project and sort of what brought you to think of adding this feature?
Nope, can't hear you.
No. It says unmuted, but we got it. I hear you. So we'll let Heidi talk for a second. Heidi, can you describe this for folks who haven't been able to see the drawing that we were able to look at on council?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. Thank you. So basically what we are going to produce is a mural that will be 6 4-foot by 8-foot MDO panels. And I will be producing this mural in my studio, and then it will be installed onto the exterior face of the apartment complex. So the mural will be 16 feet by 12 feet, panels that will be installed. And given the feedback that I got from Clayton, and what he was going for. And then he also sent me photos of the surrounding neighborhood, and knowing that it was close to the university and seeing where this is going to be, it's in a huge space of concrete. I felt like there were some nice trees in the neighborhood. He showed me some photos of. I have a love for the native Oregon white oak that used to be so prolific in the Willamette Valley. So I proposed a giant Oregon oak, and to bring some green and some nature into that space, and also to give a local feel for then the valley, the vineyards, the agriculture that goes on in that area, kind of going off into the west hills, into the mountains in the background, and then to have somebody sitting under the tree, reading a book, just very simply, just in nature, reading a book, a little connection to the university. And so that was my proposal. And so Clayton thought it was a great idea, and hopefully you all do too.
And can you all hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I had to do this the old school way and just call in. I've been it's one of those days where I've been having really good luck with virtual meetings on all kinds of different platforms, and so of course it would be for this one that things don't work out. But yeah, I'm Clayton Crowhurst from Northwest. Yeah, Heidi, thank you so much for filling the space there while I was sorting myself out. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure working with Heidi on this project. I had kind of started to look around for artists for this earlier this year, kind of beginning in March and April, and kind of floated this out to the art department at the university to begin with, and kind of got routed to the Salem Arts Council, and they gave me a list of muralists. And looking through that, Heidi's work really resonated with me and seemed like some of the themes that she was capturing could be a good fit for both the site and fitting in with Monmouth, and also kind of what I was personally envisioning. And so, yeah, it's just been a really great match in terms of Heidi's been very passionate about executing the project and has a lot of experience doing really unique murals in the area. One of her signatures is a few like 10, 15 foot tall chickens around the city of Portland. So, you know, just some really, really amazing pieces of work, though. But I wanted to, before I kind of talk a bit more about the mural, just wanted to talk about the organization that I work for. And I'm actually was not necessarily happy to hear Marty's update on the person that's living out of their car at the library, but I think this brings to, you know, to the fore this issue about housing, and kind of really shows that housing is an issue not just in, you know, downtown Portland or in Eugene, but is an issue in Monmouth. You know, I was just earlier today on a community input meeting for a project I'm actually working on out in Ontario, so about as far east as you can get in the state. It's an issue that's everywhere right now, and the organization I work for, we're a nonprofit affordable housing developer. We have been doing affordable housing since about 1985 all around the state. We currently have over 2,000 units, around 37 different properties in 16 counties. One of the, you know, numbers though that I really kind of focus on is that we keep people housed and a roof over their head, 2,800 folks every night, you know, give or take a few hundred. And that's something that I really strive for, and I think is important for every community in Oregon, is providing housing for people, regardless of their income, regardless of where they are in their life, because it's such a critical need, and it's, you know, in my belief, is a real human right. And so that's something that our organization, we do affordable housing development. What makes us unique is that we actually own and operate the properties that we build. So unlike other developers that may have an exit strategy after 5 years of ownership or after they finish building a project, we hang on to our developments. So specifically for the College Manor apartments there in Monmouth, we purchased those in 1996. And we've been hanging on to this and managing them in association with a third-party property manager ever since then. And we take a lot of pride in taking really good care of the buildings that we own and operate. We are not, we actually, one of our goals is to basically drive our operations so that we are at zero at the end of every year, so that every dollar that maybe comes out of our properties or out of developments gets reinvested into properties, gets reinvested into our organization. We operate a family shelter in Clackamas County. We operate resident services programs that service all of our developments across the state. And so it's a real pride of mine working for this organization that any additional profit that, you know, comes out of operations or comes out of a development gets turned right back around into investing in the residents at our property. And so I think for this particular development in Monmouth, we started putting together the rehab and the funding and all of that about 3 years ago in association with a project in Salem. And so it's kind of what we call a scattered site development. So we put these two projects together, kind of leveraging funding. The bigger you can get, the less per unit costs that we're spending on lawyers and accountants and all the not fun stuff, and the more that we can spend on actual construction. So if any of you drive by there, you're going to see that we're putting on some new siding. We're doing a lot of interior unit upgrades. We're doing some of the not so fun stuff of replacing all the plumbing and some of the HVAC equipment. And so it's just really that continued upkeep and major rehab that we like to do on our properties to make sure that, you know, one, they're, you know, livable, but two, that they actually look nice. That you would drive by it and not recognize it as, oh, that's public housing or Section 8 housing or affordable housing. My hope is to create projects that not only you wouldn't drive by and not notice, but you would drive by and say, whoa, that is the nicest building, you know, on this block or in this community where people want to live. And so as I have been kind of putting this together with our architects and contractor, I've seen this big blank face on the north side of one of the buildings on the site. And that just really attracted me to wanting to do something with more than just throw some siding up there and paint it. And so I've been joking with people actually starting last year about, you know, oh, I'm going to put a mural up there. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, whatever. You know, people that work with me know that I'm prone to fantastical thinking, but with Heidi's help and also a little bit of extra wiggle room in my construction budget, we're actually going to be able to make this happen. And so I was really, really thrilled and appreciative of the Arts Council, not only for their recommendation, but the grant that they put forward for that. I would be remiss in not encouraging you all here and any other members of the public, if you would like to donate to this project, to get in touch with the Arts Council, because any of those dollars will go directly to the artist. And I think this is not only going to be an amenity for the residents of our community, but will also be an amenity for all of you. And I would love to see this be, you know, in 5 or 10 years, one of many stops along an art trail in the community, and a talking point to say, you know, hey, this is what affordable housing can look like in your community. So yeah, I think, Heidi, do you have anything else you want to add or any other questions?
No, I'm just really thrilled and honored to be a part of it. And I'm happy that you all are willing to invest in some public art that will, you know, hopefully bring some joy and some thought to folks. Yeah, and beautify the space. Yeah, I'm thrilled about it. Any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I don't see any questions here. Oh, John, Councilor Carey.
Heidi, good evening, and congratulations on a very nice looking schematic. It is displayed in sort of a grayscale. Will it take on some local color, or Is that what it'll look like?
No, yes, sir. John, absolutely. I have been in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, working on the color layout. I call it a roadmap, which will be, I will hammer out all of the color and everything on that, and then go from that to pattern and paint the actual patterns. So I feel like right now, I sent a photo to Clayton earlier today of what I've got. I'm about 2/3, 3/4 of the way, I feel, to a pretty tight design. This is going to be a really challenging, fun project for me because I have to work in these 4x8 foot panels. I've got to make sure that my art is all really perfect and fine-tuned before I actually get to the big painting stage, because it's pieced together then like a puzzle, and I won't be able to, in other words, hang the whole thing up in my studio in one piece and paint it. I'm going to have to paint it in sections of 3. So I'm totally excited about the challenge. It's going to be a good one. Yeah. But so stay tuned. There will be detailed color art for you all to look at and critique, for sure.
Well, it looks very good. I think the messaging that you've woven into it is good. And I'm personally a big fan of public art. I think as most of the people on call here are. And this is only partly rhetorical, but I was surprised that murals were required specific approval. I went to the ordinary, to the actual code, and I sort of felt like there was a lot of things that covered problem areas, and I don't know. And the code was written, I think, probably far before any of us here. So an explanation is fleeting, but I guess I just don't know why we have that sort of prohibition on private property. I'm not sure. But at any rate, good luck to you, and thanks for getting this far.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm always happy to that kind of these weird little approvals exist, because it gives me a chance to actually come talk to you all about affordable housing. And if we get the chance to do another development in Monmouth, we could add another mural to the mix. So.
Yes, you definitely inspired the Arts and Culture Commission. The little bit of money we have doesn't go very far, but it's definitely something that trying to envision and then promote this has got your commission very excited. So,
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, Phyllis, do you want to address John's question about why we approve murals?
I don't know the answer, but I'm assuming it's because we don't want people to just put up something that's really horrid. And if we approve it, it's something quality. That's my take on it. Suzanne's shaking her head, so.
Yeah, I would just echo what Phyllis is saying. I have seen this in some other small city codes, so it's not completely unusual to have something. And I think it's just to give the council or a policy decision board an opportunity to weigh in, especially on the design, to make sure it's consistent with the community character. You can imagine taste is, and people have different opinions about that. So I think it just kind of gives it the chance to weigh in and certainly hopefully see a great example like we saw tonight of what they're doing. So that's something we can review if we want to look at amending our code in the future.
So
and before we wrap up here, I wanted to give one quick shout out and thank you to Larry Thornton and the folks over at the building department. They've been a pleasure to work with, and I work really closely with our site supervisor that's there at the project every day, and he has been very appreciative of their willingness to kind of work through, just your normal issues that come up on any large scale rehab project. And so I just want to extend my thanks to the building department through this whole process. I think a lot of folks in the affordable housing industry, especially those that do funding and financing, get attracted to building only in big cities and working on big high-rise developments. And I avoid building in big cities like the plague because of folks like Larry and building departments in small towns, because they're really easy to work with, and they make me want to actually submit our plans, ahead of time and get input instead of feeling like you're having to show up for an exam when you turn in for your building permit. So just a big thank you to that department.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Clayton. And yes, thank you, Larry, for your work on this too, of course. So I would entertain at this time a motion. Proposed motion is in our packet.
I move that
Madam Mayor,
the council. Oh. Go ahead, Councilor Gary. All right. I move that the council approve of the proposed mural on College Manor Apartments located at 265 College Street South.
and I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Belts, our artist member of our city council, for her motion, and Councilor Carey, our athletic director or something, for his second. So appreciate that. And unless there are other questions or comments, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And thank you again, Clayton and Heidi, for sitting through our meeting tonight to share that with us. And Clayton, we really do appreciate the investment in our community and look forward to potentially partnering again in the future. The mission you describe is extremely important, and we appreciate your investment. So, and Heidi, can't wait to see it and have a big ribbon cutting. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we will keep you all in the loop on progress with the mural and the project. And just independently, if anybody has any questions about Northwest Housing Alternatives or affordable housing in general, I'll talk your ear off. You'll be sick of me by the time we're done chatting. So please reach out.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move on to an adoption here. We've got a few of these sort of pro forma pieces of business. And back to our stormwater utility discussion. And Mr. Cooper thankfully recovered from a couple weeks ago when he was not able to join us. So Russ, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. Tonight you have before you a resolution that would adopt a new stormwater fee. I intend to spend a little more time during my staff presentation than usual in order to frame tonight's discussion by providing a summary of the background that was done leading up to this resolution, partly as a reminder for those of us that have been in this process for the past 2 years, but also to those participating tonight that may not have that same background. I intend to cover briefly the timeline of the process, why we selected a path of a stormwater utility, show how the fee is collected, share some real examples of monthly fees of some of our local businesses or large customers, and then to summarize some of the findings of the various public outreach activities that we've conducted over the past 18 months, basically. So the history of how we got here, the street fund is currently budgeted by both, the street fund currently budgets both the transportation and stormwater activities. The revenue for this fund represents the city's portion of the state's gas tax, and the gas tax is the only revenue source. The issue is that the gas tax is not keeping pace with the cost of maintaining both the street and stormwater activities. To address this shortfall, what the city's been doing has been reducing our services for nearly a decade to operate within the funds that are budgeted. This systematic reduction has resulted in almost no capital replacement and very limited life extending maintenance of both the street and stormwater facilities. You know, the primary concern is a continuation of reducing services and putting off important maintenance activities will eventually lead to, you know, increased or more expensive emergency repairs and a systemic failure of our two facilities. So to address the issue in 2014, the city initially convened a citizen task force, and their task was to evaluate various transportation funding mechanisms. Resulting from their work, council initially prioritized developing additional transportation funding. Through discussions, this transitioned from a street fee concept to a stormwater utility pursuit in 2017. The primary reason was an effort to provide better accountability of the funds that were collected. During the same time frame, council was discussing how to better maintain sidewalks and improve walkability in Monmouth. These discussions further pointed to the lack of sufficient funds to maintain transportation facilities. So 2 years ago, the city hired a consultant to assist the city with implementing a standalone stormwater utility. This utility would be much like the city's water, sewer, and electric utilities. The goal was to develop a stormwater utility and funding mechanism that would be sustainable, equitable, financially self-sufficient, one that would be suited to meet regulatory pressures, one that would be accountable to the public, and one that would continue to maintain or improve our current programs and services that reduce localized flooding and pollution prevention. Maybe equally as important to those goals, a sustainable stormwater utility would also help to stabilize the street fund. A new stormwater utility would free up the gas tax funds that are currently being spent on stormwater activities and allow those funds to be directed toward their intended purpose, which was roadway maintenance. The freed up street fund dollars will allow the city to once again invest in maintenance, repair, and replacement of transportation facilities, including sidewalks. So it's kind of there's a, you know, how was the rate calculated that's in this resolution, and what is an ESU or an equivalent service unit? So the primary work of the consultant had three components. The first component was to determine the revenue requirements that this new fund would need. And so they initially proposed 3 levels of service, a basic, medium, and optimal. And the level of service costs resulted in some rate ranges anywhere from $11.88 all the way up to $25.67 a month. The second component that the consultant worked on was developing our customer data. And you know, to just summarize what that is that it was looking at Monmouth and determining more specifically how much does each tax lot, how much of the surface area is there on each tax lot. And the premise is rain falls on an impervious surface area, a parking lot or a rooftop, and instead of soaking into the ground, it runs into the city stormwater system. So the more impervious surface area, the greater impact on the stormwater system, and therefore the more impact you should pay an equitable or equal rate to your impact. The third component was just that equitable rate calculation, and the effort is such that your level of service revenue required, your rate would be based off of the level of service revenue required divided by the total impervious surface area in Monmouth, and then spread that equitably across the customer classes. So the ESU, which is in the resolution, it stands for equivalent service unit. And what that is the average impervious surface area of single-family residential properties in Monmouth. The consultant took some segments of town, measured those, and the average came out to be 3,542 square feet of impervious surface area. So that was the average, and that number is used as what we use to define an ESU, or one ESU. And then at the basic level of service, which is what is proposed in this resolution, the basic level of service would be $11.88 a month for a single family residential property. Now, all the other properties, and the reason that we went with an ESU, a single family residential would be one ESU, it really controls the administrative burden of measuring all single family properties and how they change over time. So then the question kind of comes up, how do we address all the other properties, our commercial properties, our multifamily properties, public property, institutional or industrial? So their rates are calculated using an actual measurement of the property's impervious surface area. We divide it by that 3,542 square feet per ESU, and you get a calculated ESU. The calculated ESU is then multiplied by the $11.88 to determine the proper storm. I'd mentioned that we had done a fair amount of outreach activities and intend to share some of the feedback from that. So prior to the pandemic, the comments that we received were somewhat supportive of the medium level of service. There was a general feeling that the city should be taking care of our current facilities, doing more to protect the environment, and proactively replacing our failing facilities. Well, as you know, as well as I do, that COVID-19 struck, it slowed down our process, it impacted our outreach plans. We converted to a more of a virtual mechanism to reach out. The feedback that we received, was concerns that, were expressed about the timing of implementing this new fee. Now is not a good time. There was more support for only implementing the basic level of service. And there was a suggestion of a phased implementation of the fee to allow time for financial recovery and financial preparation. So my summary there isn't intended to negate the comments that were across the full spectrum, from support for more services to disdain at what was described as more wasteful city spending. But it's an overall sense of the comments that we received. With our large customers, our focus was on direct outreach in the form of either direct mailings or virtual open house. And then we actually had the opportunity back in May to do a virtual meeting with the Monmouth Business Association. There were about 20 business owners that participated in that. There were a few questions from the event but not a lot of sense of where the businesses were at. The next was a informational direct mailing in August that we mailed out to all of our large customers, gave them information, encouraged them to call me if they had questions or had interest in understanding what their fee might be to get a fee estimate. That resulted in 5 follow-up inquiries. Most of those were just, clarifying inquiries or actually asking what their rates would be. And then the most recent mailing and virtual was in October for large customers. That was participated by 3 folks, and the invitation letter itself drew 4 more phone inquiries about the stormwater utility. So all of the outreach efforts recommended calling me or emailing for more information, and then also pointing folks back to the city stormwater webpage. So to get to the resolution that you have tonight, describe that. It's a phased approach to implementing this fee. The proposed resolution has been drafted to reflect the feedback received during outreach efforts. The key points is that it delays the full implementation of the fee for actually up to about, I think it's 7 months in order for some economic relief and recovery, as well as providing people an opportunity to prepare for the new fee. This resolution also positions the city to operate a financially sustainable stormwater utility beginning in fiscal year 21-22 budget cycle. So how it is set to, how it's written is that 50% of the fee would be assessed beginning March 1st. And so that's when our customers would first see a bill would be March 1st. And for a single family residential property, their fee would be $5.49 a month. And then in July, we would transition to 100% of the ESU or full cost recovery. And that amount would be $11.88 for a single family residential property. Some examples of what other of our other non-single family residential non-single family properties might see as a bill. So for a duplex, they would be, the property's impervious surface area would be divided equally between the two tenants. So they would see a bill in the range of
Leaf pickup. It seems like this year has been extra crazy for that. So your team's done a great job of that, and knowing that that is a service that is highly prized in our community. And right now, no one's being charged for that service, right? Since it comes out of the money that is supposed to go to keeping our streets and sidewalks clear, not just clear leaves. So I will take questions and comments. Roxanne?
I know when I lived in California, my water and my sewer always came together, so I never really paid much attention. Has that been a consideration? I'm not saying we should do it. I'm just wondering if we thought about that, or if we thought about not doing that for a reason.
Okay, so the stormwater fee or charge will show up on the same bill as your water, power, and electrical. Where it'll kind of diverge from that, or be why I said it follows the water bill, is for some of our large customers, there'll be multiple folks who maybe pay in a multifamily unit. There'll be folks who pay an electric bill, but they don't pay the water bill because the property owner pays the water bill. So that's where there'll be a single fee assessed to the property owner instead of trying to divide it among all the tenants of a multifamily complex.
Your bill will look just the same. So that's literally about the multifamily situation. Other questions, comments? John, Kerry.
Russ, thanks for a great job of summarizing all of this. It is a long time in coming to get even this far. Yeah, it wasn't long after I was on council first this was discussed, and we began talking about it. And we're finally just about there. One of the things, anytime you add a new a fee like this, there will be scrutiny of it. And so I hope that, and I would urge Phyllis to, and perhaps Russ, you and Phyllis to work together. Not that this is my business, but you guys to kind of coordinate your information to be sure that she accurately reflects your comments in the minutes of the meeting, because the staff report is rather cryptic. It doesn't provide anywhere near the detail, thankfully, that you provide. So the degree to which that would be possible, I think, would be helpful to explain why we either vote in favor or vote against this. Now, I do have a couple of questions. I was a little, well, first of all, the resolution refers to, in the Monmouth City Code, 15.45.040, and that's kind of that's where the ESU is defined as well. That is not currently displayed on the city website. We passed that, and we added that particular section not long ago. It just really hasn't been uploaded to the Monmouth Code, and I would urge us that be done right away. So if anyone reads the resolution and they try to go as I did to find out what 13.45 says, they'll be able to know. That's non-substantive. That's just something that we need to get done. I do have a question though on the, I continue to be sort of confused on the resolution itself, the timing of that. It says that in section 1 of that resolution, it talks about authorized under the Monmouth Code 13.45, and establishes a rate of $4 or $5.94 per ESU. And that would run through May 15th. And thereafter, the service charge would be $11.88, as you described. And I understood that to start on July 1. I'm not sure what the billing cycles are there, but that seems to be a bit, I can't make word, especially in section 3, it talks about the resolution taking effect in January of 2021, January 15, 2021. So, yeah, it's probably obvious, but I was confused by that.
No, John, Councilor Carey, that actually it's a great question. I thought trying to, cover that in the staff report or even in my presentation would add to the confusion conceivably. So the background behind that is that the city actually is set up to bill from, so take January or the implementation of this would be January 15th through February 15th, but the customer wouldn't see the bill for that window in time until March. That's when the customer would see it, but they would be billed for the previous, I'll call it the previous billing cycles. There's a from when we end process bill out to the customer is that additional 15-day window. So from where the February 15th to where the customer would actually see the bill March 1st. And then as you go through the resolution to the May 15th, you would have May 15th a dollar amount, but the customer would not utility bill until July, clarify that?
Yeah, they're really dealing with a 6-week lag there that I wasn't accounting for. It makes sense.
Temporarily relieves some of the angst, but where are we going to be 6 months from now? Where are we going to be a year from now? Are we going to be right back at square one, doing the same thing, having the same conversation, except it's going to be 15 or 20% more expensive, whatever it is that we're proposing, because things have deteriorated in the meantime. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, thank you, Byron, for that. Yeah, absolutely. It is devastating to have to think about these things at this time. And as we started this work, we had no idea. And luckily, we've been able to provide utility assistance to a lot of our families at this time. The state has had programs and we participated in them. So as additional funding comes for those, we could hopefully continue to provide that support for folks that are in the direst of straits. And when you think back about the years this has gone on, that John mentioned, many of our surrounding cities have a much smaller fee, but they started years ago. They've been collecting all this time, and they've been able to keep those rates low. Whether or not they kept pace with the work to be done, I don't know. But I appreciate one consideration here, and that is, if I recall, our consultant felt we really needed to start off at the intermediate rate. That's sort of what I recall as the recommendation from that, if that's right, Russ. And so that acknowledgement, although it's still a significant dollar amount to some families, that we are starting at the basic rate and looking at that and this phase in, which was, again, another sort of consideration. I really appreciate that acknowledgement as you bring forward this recommendation. Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much, Russ, for the presentation and for keeping at this. I know it's as Councilor Schinkel mentioned, always difficult to pursue tasks that have been neglected for some time, and I really appreciate you for bringing this to our attention. Could you speak a little bit about the rate once again? I know we had spoken quite a bit in previous sessions about the rate structures, and from memory, we were going to be presented with, or we were at one point going to be presented with, a choice of tiers of service to be able to select, and that would accompany the corresponding rate. As I recall, the rate that you presented today is the rate that corresponded with the very lowest tier of service. And then the phase-in rate that you presented now as well is lower still. Could you talk a little bit about how the phase-in timing was selected? And I'm not talking about where it hits within the billing cycles, but how did you select the time frame for that phase-in, and what does that mean for our city services?
Thank you. So the resolution that is presented tonight really takes into account the feelings or the comments that have been expressed about the timing of implementing this fee, as well as what we've heard from customers. Staff agrees timing's not great, but we have this challenge of having to balance our own financial situation in a street fund and stormwater fund that is experiencing a shortfall funding with our citizens as well. So what was proposed, so you had talked about or mentioned the 3 tiers of service. So yes, the basic level of service could also be called a status quo. It's what we do today, no additional services, no additional employees. It does include money to begin setting aside for a couple of capital projects. The intermediate or medium service began to be more proactive in public outreach, maintenance of our facilities, as well as a capital investment in those facilities. And then the ultimate, or it was a rate that I couldn't even support myself, was a very proactive fee that would position the city in a position where we would be ready for future regulatory requirements that are quite a ways out into the future. So staff looked at the balance of what are we hearing from council, the citizenry with our need, and said let's implement what we do today. Try to buy as much time as we could to that implementation, and to reduce it, by doing that half of the full rate to begin with. Allow people to experience it, see what that is, prepare financially for the full rate that would be coming 4 months later in July. And so that is the basis or background behind the resolution that's proposed tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. John?
This is, as I indicated, and Madam Mayor, you were on council, I'm sure, when this was one of our goals and objectives. And frankly, it just never could perk its way to the top. There was always something there. There was, all sorts of concerns and issues that related to that. But there's been a lot of work done, as our former colleague Chris Larson used to say. We've done our due diligence on this, and if we were proposing to go beyond what we've been doing, that would really be untenable in a time where several have talked about the economic challenges that we have individually with our residents and as a city and our businesses. But we're not doing that. We're trying to have better accountability with the monies that we have. If rather than utilizing street fund dollars, transportation dollars to keep our streets safe. And while it's convenient to have the leaves picked up in my neighborhood, in my intersection, it's a safety matter because we've got like Lake John right outside here at Olive Way and High. If we don't keep the leaves out of there, so we're simply doing what we've done. We're going to be able to account for it better. And we're going to be able to do some things from a transportation standpoint, all forms of transportation, than we've done. So while I share Darren and Byron's concern about timing, everyone's concerned about timing. It's just that these things mature, and unfortunately they mature at the same time. And I think we've done the work on this one, and I think we can justify this. We've been responsive to the community members that have provided it. Some are angry that we're not going further, I'm sure, in the end. Others are angry that we're doing it at all, if we do. So, I just think that this is, it's matured at a time, and I think we need to go with it. But it's not like we haven't done our work. It's not like this is a snap decision.
Thank you, Counselor Carey. Seeing no other hands, I would entertain a motion, which is included in your packet. Resolution 10. Sorry, I'm not watching them.
Well, I'll move it. Council adopt resolution, a resolution establishing a city charge.
Thank you, Counselor Carey, for the motion, and Counselor Lopez for the second. And Phyllis, roll call, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Counselor Belts,
Aye.
Counselor Lopez,
Aye.
Counselor Silbernail, Counselor Carey,
Aye.
Counselor Sharma,
No?
Counselor Schinkel.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you very much. And thank you again, Russ and Janet, for your work, the work done and the work to do. And
It's just unbelievable. I mean, I didn't agree with her politics, but she was a dedicated servant.
oh, thank you.
And
Laura.
if I can, the statement from her husband in the Statesman Journal this evening, he said Selma Pierce was the glue of the Pierce family, an angel of a person. The only woman that I have ever loved died this evening in a sudden and tragic accident. So I'm sure we're all feeling very sad about that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Byron.
I just, I've been debating on whether to talk about this. And I feel I need to. I want to congratulate the new members of the council going forward. Congratulations. I appreciated our conversations and the sharing of ideas. I'm confident and hopeful that the momentum that we have going forward is going to keep the ball rolling on stuff. Seems like a very competent group of counselors that we have coming in as well. Also want to take the opportunity to thank the members of the council, current council, for your professional courtesy and personal courtesies and working together over the years to move forward some improvements in our community. I hold individuals on this council, despite our differences, in very high esteem. And it is for this reason I wanted to make a statement. Over the weekend, I received notification that I had been accused of accepting and or spending funds for the election without disclosure. I want to be very clear that this allegation is patently false. I neither solicited or accepted anything of monetary value, nor did I spend any money during the election cycle. You may have noticed no signs, no ads, no anything. Even more troubling for me is the fact that the complaint was filed on November 19th, more than 2 weeks after the election. This tactic of ad hominem attacks is, in my mind, is symptomatic of what happens when any thought-terminating ideology, whatever it may be, governs the behaviors of individuals. There's no room for nuance or debate. The ideology is supreme, and everyone else is viewed as the enemy. I'm not going to lie, I'm personally offended by this allegation. I'm not an extremist, nor am I an ideologue for any cause. Nonetheless, I'm an adult and I can handle it. My experience in this council has been that even despite our differences, that we have been able, in this group, has been able to transcend these limitations and serve the community. Even though all of this stuff has been going on outside, we've been able to work together very well. And I'm really proud of that fact. And I consider you all colleagues and friends. And I hope that that feeling is mutual. I'm confident that the new council will be able to continue this momentum and to continue to make positive improvements. And I just wanted to say once again, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to working with you on projects going forward.
Thank you.
Byron, thank you so much. Thank you for your congratulations. Thank you for your service, your knowledge, and I hope that we will all be working with you still in some capacity. So thank you so much.
And we'll get a chance to all be together at the first meeting in January to hand over the official torches. Thank you, Byron. On that, can we, gosh, almost 9 o'clock, and I don't want to go too long, but we are dying to hear Chris report, but I am going to ask for just about 5 minutes if we can, and take just a little bit of a break here. So we will be back at 8:55 by my clock.
Are you going to adjourn the regular session?
I will take a motion to
No doubt.
Yeah.
Can someone tell me, here in Polk County, are restaurants going to remain only, they're only going to be able
Well, into session, the December 1st, 2020 work session. And it looks like everybody is back. We did have one item tonight, but we'll sort of address the question. What are we doing to help businesses, especially those that are completely shut down and impacted? Throughout this, basically since the state, well, even when the initial federal resources became available, the Paycheck Protection Program and various federal programs, our Chamber of Commerce, Suzanne, and the City of Independence folks, including Kate Schwarzlord, Indy Commons, and Sean Irvine, the City of Independence, started working together to really publicize the resources, but also help. And it doesn't look like Suzanne stayed on, but she made phone calls. She took phone calls. The Monmouth Business Association reached out to members. There was a lot of really strong outreach and support throughout that. And then when the state forwarded money directly, actually, to cities to apply for things, the county got some money, and people could apply directly to Business Oregon. Anytime those programs came up, that same thing happened. Our Chamber of Commerce has been really amazing about getting out word about resources to members and non-members alike. The Monmouth Business Association, again, our staff. So it's been really positive. This newest round of money that Marty mentioned, super short timeline, because all CARES Act money has to be committed by December 30th of this year. And so this final bit of money from the state that's coming from the state, and again, Polk County's chosen Willamette Workforce Partners to be the people to review that and that will be doing more outreach and contacting businesses. Each of these has its own set of requirements or criteria. In some cases with this state money, if you've got federal help early on, you can't also get the state money, or in some cases you can. So absolutely having people like Suzanne to really sort that through and help businesses figure out what they have qualified for and stuff has been a huge undertaking, but willingly done. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We've been wondering what's been going on at the library, and even when things were looking like we might be able to provide any kind of more in-person services down the road, we are not there any longer. But we wanted to have Chris Obrist, our library director, talk about all the amazing services they have been providing. So, Chris, thanks for getting back on the call for us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilors. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can't see me because I was on a laptop earlier, which froze up on me and I could not get it to restart. So I'm on my computer now at my desk. I do not have a camera. I do have one on order, however. So unfortunately, we've got this gap. So I'm just the talking voice right now. So I apologize. Tonight, I'm going to talk about library services during COVID-19. I believe you all received my report as well as an approximate timeline of library services so far since mid-March. So I won't read that to you. I will point out a few things as I am talking though. First and foremost, speaking for myself and my staff, we miss our patrons. We would love to be open, living a pre-pandemic life with patrons coming to the library, or better yet, a post-pandemic world where we're beyond all this and we're onto our new normal, and that's just not where we're at right now. The reality is my priority now is the health and safety of my staff and our patrons and our community, and to not take steps forward in offering services only to have to walk them back and take them away. I think it would be much harder to resume library services such as allowing people back in the building and then have to close again. And this sentiment is shared with the director of the Independence Public Library, as I quoted in my report. And we have been in contact, and we are trying to work together to come up with a timeline of when we can open back up to our communities for limited in-library services. So I'm going to talk about, just briefly, I'm not going to talk forever tonight, but so challenges that we're looking at, ways we're making services available, how we're accommodating requests, and about what we've been doing. So the biggest challenge we face is ensuring staff and patron safety. Some of the other challenges we must consider to be able to open the building, even for limited in-library services, include how to enforce compliance to safety measures like proper mask wearing, using provided hand sanitizer, practicing safe social distancing, ensuring patrons are not trying to enter while sick. Anecdotally, every year, especially during cold and flu season, people come to the library when they're sick. And we know they're sick because they tell us, I'm so sick, but I need to come get a book. Or I just picked up my child at school, taking him home because he's sick, and they have to get a book or a movie to keep them company while they're sick. And it happens a lot. And so that is a challenge for us, especially now. It's even more of a challenge. Things we think about, questions we think about, we currently quarantine all library materials for a period of time. Would we need to quarantine every item a patron handled, and how do we do that? Staffing issues. We'd be adding additional tasks to staff who are already performing additional tasks beside their regular responsibilities. None of them complain. We're all doing our bit. But things we have to look at is monitoring the number of people in the building at a time, continuing curbside pickup, and occasional take and make craft kits require staffing, wiping down commonly touched surfaces. And right we're, as we're able, trying to limit the number of staff in the building at a time. So we have staggered schedules and some at-home work options or work-at-home options. And then again, dealing with patrons who appear sick. Like, have you been in the store and somebody starts coughing? I mean, I personally have allergies, and so I hate it if I have a coughing fit in public because I just know everybody's looking at me like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So we have those issues to think about. And we have patrons that pre-pandemic come to our library from different CCRLS cities, Salem, Dallas, McMinnville. They come from all over. And we have Salem patrons using our curbside service, holds pickup service right now. And I'm sure there are people from other cities as well. CCRLS covers a 3-county area. So that's a consideration to make. So there are many considerations to be made when contemplating our next steps moving forward, resuming limited in-library services. And it's an ongoing conversation that we as staff have. We're always looking at this. Services we are providing. The library building might be closed, but the library and our staff continue to provide services to our community. Curbside pickup for holds. That's been ongoing since early on. And it's a very popular and very positive experience. Patrons are thrilled that they have access to books. The brief little distant, hi and goodbye to staff is great for both staff and our patrons. They're happy to see each other. We have our frequent flyers when we're open. They're frequent flyers during curbside too, and they're services. Our hours are Tuesdays to Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And patrons call in to make an appointment to pick up their available holds, to have staff help them place holds on library items, to answer questions, to help them get a library card, provide reader's advisory, troubleshoot our Library to Go ebook platform. A lot of different questions that we get asked and we help people with. And we have and will continue to provide virtual programming opportunities. We have story times, we have performers, STEM programs. We continue partnering with others for our virtual programming. We had a recent popular Teen Baking Basics series put on by 4-H. We've partnered with the Central School District for our Lego story time and for book giveaways that we've done. And we're always trying to provide different activities for kids and families to participate in. So December is chock full of all kinds of activities. We've got a virtual gingerbread house show. We usually have people bring them in. People can come look at all the great creativity and vote on their favorite. Well, we're just asking people to, as a family or individually, create their gingerbread house, take a picture and share it on our Facebook page for everyone to enjoy. We have take and make craft kits. Today, our winter reading program, Winter Reads, started, and that's for all ages, baby through 100 plus. So all this and much more is posted on our website and soon will be on our Facebook page. So we're going to be pretty busy in December, and we're trying to help keep everyone busy during December too. Less outdoor activities, more indoor activities. And your library card provides access to several e-resources available 24/7 from the catalog website at catalog.ccrls.org. For instance, Canopy is an on-demand streaming video platform. Creative Bug has more than 1,000 art and craft video classes that you can take. We have access to ebooks, digital audiobooks, e-magazines, Ancestry, to genealogy. I believe it's still available at home. It's usually limited to in-library access, but they opened that up during the pandemic to allow us to provide that to our patrons in their home. Learning Express Library, Chilton's Auto Repair Manuals, Novelist, so many more. Not to mention, if you go to our I wish I could show you this, our catalog page, on the middle right-hand side, there's a little green tab that says Research Guides. If you click on that, you'll have access to a number of tutorials, how to use our e-resources, tech guides, social media, computer of information and things that you can learn from our library website. Okay, ways we're making services available and accommodating requests. We have people who call and ask us to pick out a few books for my son or daughter, or can you grab something off the new shelf for me? Can you put a couple magazines in with the holds I'll be picking up? One gentleman during curbside pickup asked if he could read the latest itemizer, so staff went and got him the newspaper. He sat down on the bench, read it, and left it on the curbside pickup table when he was done. We had somebody walk up and she just needed something copied. We copied it for her. We've learned, and I've learned over the past few months, to just ask. You never know what might be possible, as long as you understand that sometimes the answer is simply no, but oftentimes the answer is yes, we can help you. So we respond to patrons' requests all the time, and myself and staff, we do what we can to accommodate and to help them. Some people, they missed their pickup or they forgot their pickup, and we make arrangements to meet them at the back door so that they can get their books. There's all kinds of ways that we've reached out to help people. And to make all this possible, my staff has been flexible with their schedules and the many schedule changes that have been made. We're being responsive to the workflow, and we've had to alter our schedules. Plus, we must adhere to safety protocols, including mask, gloves, sanitizer, library materials, safe distancing, cleaning up our work areas, etc. Tasks that our wonderful volunteers usually perform have been assumed by various staff members in addition to their own responsibilities. Through it all, my staff have been champions, working hard to do their best to help patrons, to help think through workflow changes to work efficiently, to help patrons when they can, as best they can, to ever-changing conditions. We use Facebook, our website, the city e-newsletter, and flyers inserted to the curbside holds pickup bags to disseminate information about what services are being provided. We understand these methods do not reach all our patrons, and we're constantly talking about how we can spread the word. I've had conversations with patrons on the phone, like, I never know what's going on because they don't go on Facebook, or they were used to coming to the library and learning what's going on. And so she was getting a little upset. And I told her, I said, I totally understand. Help me help you. What can we do? How can we get this information out? And we talked for quite a while, and she said, that is a tough one. So she was going to maybe get back to me with some ideas, but I haven't heard back from her yet. But I would welcome the suggestions because, again, we don't have people walking through the building to see what's going on or to talk to us to see what's going on. And we hope that the virus is spread by word of mouth to people around town, because we do have a lot going on, even though we're closed. So we're also developing a library-specific e-newsletter, so we hope that will help. But as the lady that I talked to on the phone about this specifically said, she probably wouldn't read it because she doesn't like those things. So, it will help. It will be one more tool and one more resource that we can use, so we will do it. Finally, what's great? I would say the top 3 things we've been doing during the COVID closure is our curbside pickup for holds. That's been very positive and very popular. Our take and make craft kits, it's another way to engage families and children, getting them, they get to, wave out the window to their favorite librarian and make that just that brief little contact that, they see the familiar people in a familiar place. And building improvements. We've been busy working to improve the user experience for our patrons when we once again resume in-library services. We've moved the big new books display that you first walk into the library. We've moved that because it wasn't going to allow for social distancing. It's usually a bottleneck right there, so we realized that was an issue. So now all the new books are displayed at the beginning of each of their respective collections. So the beginning of fiction, beginning of mystery, beginning of nonfiction, etc. There'll be an area to display the new books. That will also help to get patrons back into the stacks and maybe browsing and finding something that is new and exciting for them. We've added display areas throughout the adult collections to make it a more browsable collection. We've reoriented and added shelving to the large print collection to help that grow. We've added shelving to the juvenile graphic novels collection. We've created a new junior fiction collection, which is a beginning chapter books for new readers, which I think is going to be very positive, very popular. And we've changed some collection labeling to improve the ease of finding materials. In particular, our paperback collection. I always struggled with that myself, and now we've actually are more consistent with our call number labeling on our paperbacks as we are with the rest of our collections. And we shifted the paperback collection around to fit in the area now that has been changed to the large print. That's just some of the improvements we've done. We think that overall the steps we've taken will improve our library patrons' experience while at our library. We want it to be easy to find what you're looking for and to find things you didn't know you were looking for. We look forward to a time when we can resume limited in-library services. And my best guess on that is we'll begin considering that probably in mid to late January, barring any further complications. And I base that simply on the time that all these traditional gathering holidays will get through. We have, Christmas, New Year's, and then hopefully with a break, maybe the numbers will start going down and we can then start considering taking those steps. As for all of CCRLS, currently 13 libraries are closed and not allowing people into their buildings. There are 3 to 4 libraries that have and continue to have limited open hours, and there were 2 to 3 that were open that are no longer open. So it is a system-wide effect, and again, it covers 3 county areas. So there's a lot to consider there. Again, we miss our patrons. We love our patrons. We're looking forward to serving them again, and we're excited for them to be able to come into the building and see the changes we've made. And we hope they think as highly of them as we do. We think it's going to be a better experience at our library. That's my report.
Thank you, Chris. I told one person it's like, your own concierge, right? Now we don't have the in-person library service. We have library concierge where they really customize your services to you.
We do. We have the personalized reading list that will, is a pretty, pretty in-depth. We're rolling out a book bundle program, which is more of a, hey, I like mysteries. Can you pick, 3 to 5 mystery books for me? And we'll just randomly grab them and check them out to you, make an appointment for you to come pick them up. And so it'll be sort of a grab bag, fun way of just getting books into people's hands, and hope people will enjoy that as well.
Krista, I want to let you know that when I was a child, my greatest fear was losing my library card. And now 7 decades later, I realize you can get a replacement if you lose your library card, but it's still one of my most precious possessions. So thank you for all that you do and all the people who work with you. Thanks for making the library such a wonderful place.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, and I actually had them create one of those personalized lists for me. It had 10 books on. It was a quick questionnaire, kind of what you like, what you're looking for. They gave me 10 books. I did my first round. Wasn't quite right. I got my second round. I got 2 books a couple weeks ago. I've already read one of them all the way through, and I started on the other one, and I don't have enough time, so I'm going to have to see if I can renew that one. But it's a wonderful service. And when I went to pick up the books, my husband was with me. He's like, "What are you doing? The library's closed." I said, "Oh no, I have an appointment." And he's like, "They just bring the book out to you?" I'm like, "Yep, it's in a bag. It's all good." So it works perfect.
Yep, everything's checked out to you. And again, we're not charging any late fees. So, if you keep it a little longer, that's okay. It's all good.
Thanks. Other questions or comments for Chris? Yeah, it's tough. This is one of our most popular community gathering spots, and I suppose you can plaster the windows of the meeting room with all of the announcements and set a time of book pickup when you'll hand out that e-news on paper so people can come by.
Our entry doors are pretty loaded with informational posters and flyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
thanks.
also do our outreach in grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
I've done readers advisory. I've walked people through how to like get onto ebooks. I've done all kinds of things and standing at the store, socially distanced, of course, but
That's right. We take library services to you in the community.
yep.
I really appreciate that, Chris. I know I had gotten an email that I shared with Kristen. She shared all of these resources. Obviously, we had the family of young girls here who were are struggling without having that, but we appreciate everything you're doing to make it all available. And it's awesome to hear about. Also great to hear about some of the time you're having to make the improvements in the building, so that we look forward to getting to see those.
I will invite you as soon as we're open.
Yeah, I know. We can have like a reopening.
Yeah.
reopening. All right. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Laurel?
I just have a quick comment. It was 65 years ago today that Rosa Parks was arrested for not refusing to give up her seat on a bus in Selma, Alabama. And I just want to emphasize how fortunate this council and this city is to have two new counselors who have such a strong commitment to racial and social and economic justice. So welcome to you and welcome to John Oberst as well.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thanks, Laurel.
And Carol's household can tell you about library services too, right? That's a subject near and dear to her family. Her husband is the retired library director at Western. So, thank you all very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I appreciate you giving extra time past the 9 o'clock hour to get that report.
Move to adjourn.
Move it.
We'll give it to Counselor Belts, and all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for hanging with us tonight. See you all in a couple weeks. Be well, be safe.
Yeah.
Thank you all,
Good
and thank
night,
you all
everyone.
for your support.
Say it.